This episode, an interview with Joel Camassar from Chapman Tools. In this episode, we're going to get the inside scoop on Chapman Tools and the outstanding line of high-quality, American-made tool sets. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled An Interview with Joel Camassar from Chapman Tools. And to help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, Johnny.
Yep, here I am. You're
Larry.
Here.
Anything exciting going on, Johnny?
Electrical problems in the neighborhood, you know. I think you and I were discussing that a little bit before the show, so
the fun never stops.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. I've been talking to some electricians that since this stuff is under warranty, that we called them back, and for my own edification of what exactly and what happened and why it happened. So further news to come.
Johnny, you're wanting to avoid a shocking situation. Oh my God, yeah. I'm killing myself.
Yeah, only around the swimming pool, Larry.
That's right. Yeah, it's at the pool.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just little kids around there.
just little kids and water.
It's a learning experience.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, so we've got Joel coming on. I just wanted to make a couple of quick announcements. Number one, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe to our channels. We really appreciate that you all do it. Also, we've got a special offer coming up from Chapman Tools at the end of the show. This will help you on purchasing their products if you want. And with that, we've got a perfect segue into our show with Joel, and here it is. And we're here with Joel from Chapman. Hey, Joel, can you give us some background and or the history of Chapman Tools?
Sure. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Happy to be here on a Friday talking about myself. So, Chapman was started in 1936. Interestingly, the original building was in a two-car garage, and it was right around the corner from where the shop is now. So, in 90 whatever years, we moved around the corner. The original guy, John Chapman, was a garage tinkerer, handyman type of guy, and he made and patented our little screwdriver set. And it was at that point not a lot of automation. You know, pretty much I think he was making everything on lathes and Bridgeports. And he had the business for a while and sold it to the previous owners, the people that we bought it from in the mid 60s. And they're the ones that really built the business in the 60s, 70s, and 80s before the import tools started coming in. And they owned Chapman from 65-ish until 2010, 2011 when we bought it. And when we bought it, unfortunately, the business was a restart. The previous owners were in their 90s. Bill was his name, had set up the shop and the manufacturing process, absolutely state of the art in about 1976, and then never really modified or improved anything. So kind of funny, the first time I was in the shop was around 2010 when Mad Men was on TV and was pretty popular. And the office looked like a set of Mad Men with green vinyl chairs, typewriters, files, and I mean not like computer files, like files everywhere. And then the machines were relics that people had patched with chicken wire and bubble gum and whatever they could find to basically keep running with, you know, top of the line 70s technology. So since 2010, we really restarted the business and have expanded it quite a bit, modernized our production process substantially. We have a website now, chapmanmfg.com. There was web ordering. The previous owners did set that up. There was a one-page website printed out an order form. You filled it up by hand and then either faxed it or mailed it. And keep in mind, this is 2010. This is not like 1994. So that was their online ordering. So yeah, now it's a bit easier. You just hit add to cart on our website. But so that's the brief summary. But yeah, I mean, we're still here. We're still around the corner. We've been in the building since about 1966, and we're still making tools in the U.S.
That's awesome. This, when we're talking about this, and you say ordering over, on the internet, are the tools are available? Where can people find your tools to purchase just exclusively on the internet, or?
Yeah. So we have a website, chapmanmfg.com, that has everything that we make, and it has all of our kits hold it up so everyone can see, in multiple colors, which people like. We do sell on Amazon. We do sell on eBay. Specialty stores stock our tools, but you won't find us in like Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. We're not in big box stores.
Give a couple examples of the specialty stores. Like, are they anything that anybody would really know, or is it? Tell us more about that.
Some of the specialty stores, there are some very large firearm stores that stock our stuff. There's also kind of some other industrial, not really consumer products, but like manufacturing products, companies, industrial supply that stock our stuff. And then there's just a lot of miscellaneous, some companies, stores that sell like supplies for people that tune pianos, like really high-end piano tuning and string instruments and things, stock our stuff. But we're not in kind of like the general hardware stores like Ace Hardware or stores like that.
Yeah, understood.
So it does brings up that next question, or a question, I guess, is you have some specialty kits for specialty type trades, right? So if you could you give us just kind of a breakdown of what you're like? There's the general kit that you sent us, and then what are some of the other types of offerings that you have, just while we have you here, and you can answer it better than I.
Right. So the kits that I sent you guys, and the one that's our best seller is this, which is the master set. And what this kit is 56 of all of the most commonly used bits. Because if you're working around your house, garage, cars, water heater, electronics, or whatever, you don't know which screwdriver bits you need. You need everything, right? So this is our general set. Our industry specific sets tend to be smaller because people don't need it every single bit. They just need the specific bits they need to fix whatever they are. So we have kits, for example, we have like a gunsmithing line, and we have a starter, and then two larger gunsmithing sets. We have a number 7331 kit that's heavily used in the like military and related fields. That is standard and metric hex, mostly bits. And then we have some other smaller sets that are really only purchased by industrial supply companies. They're for working on either US or European manufacturing equipment and robotics. But all of our kits, I mean, we make screwdrivers. So even though we have some more specific sets, like at the end of the day, it's a screwdriver. You can use it on whatever you want. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does.
And folks out there, these are not the kind of screwdrivers that you use to open up paint cans. Okay.
No.
These are high quality tools. When you go out and you say, well, hey, it's just a screwdriver. No, it's not. And I'll tell you that if you use lousy tools, especially around tools, nuts and or screws and things that are kind of specialty, you're going to want to save those things and not cam them out and screw them up. So,
Right.
I mean, I get it as an ex-mechanic. You want the best. And it also, there's a lot of times out there that, if you want to differentiate yourself, it's the tools that you own. It's what kind of jobs and projects that you can take on and do it right. So
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you said, our tools are not going to be the thing you grab to pry open a paint can or clean out between the boards on your deck. And, as far as import tools go and regular screwdrivers, they have a place. We've all used them as pry bars. Absolutely. Guilty as charged.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this is my point. Yeah, this is my point, because you wanna use good quality screwdrivers for the screws themselves. Especially when you're working on, whether it's a lot of mechanical stuff. Let's put it that way. So.
I had the fortune to use your tools just literally 3 days ago. I was disassembling and reassembling a day bed, and it literally had a set. It had a Torx bit set at a perfect 90-degree angle, and there was really no way other than to take the little ratchet, put the Torx bit in, slide it in, and it ratcheted right out. It was absolutely perfect for that application. And I was sort of looking at it going, how did the original engineer figure out that anybody would be able to do this without your tools? I swear to God, it took so many thread turns to get it both in and out. It would have taken forever with just a regular hand wrench, an L-shaped hand wrench. It's like, yes, no, that's a no. So there's show that little ratchet.
Yeah, that little ratchet. That guys out there, you've got to have seen. You must have seen these little ratchets. This thing is famous.
Trying to go to the camera.
Yeah,
here.
that thing right there.
Yeah, that in and of itself is a very, very fine precision tool. Just the ratchet itself is, because I don't know what your tolerances are there, but it's just a tiny click.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I remember when I was growing up, my dad had a set of these things, and I was like, "What is?" It's like,
Go ahead. I was just going to say, my grandfather, who was a mechanical engineer, he worked for Pratt and Whitney and aircraft engines back during the war and things. He had a set of those on his bench, and as a kid, Johnny says, I remember the same thing sitting on his bench. He had that master set. I think it was in a red presentation case, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. They used to come in red case. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that distinctly. In fact, when we first contacted you, I was like, "Oh, I remember these." I think John and I both had that conversation.
I was wondered if it. I can't remember if it was in a pouch or something. I can't remember. But my dad must have had those things since the 50s.
Yeah, easily. The original cases, the really old ones from like the 40s, were actually in eyeglass cases, and then they went to the iconic red. It was like a red clamshell case, metal covered with red vinyl.
Oh,
with gold lettering. And I have one. I could grab it.
That's right.
You don't need to, because
I remember that now. I remember that.
I guess the point there is that we're talking about, this is my grandfather, and so he passed away, in the 80s. So point being, these tools last a really long time.
You hand these tools down.
Yes.
Literally. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many emails and phone calls, and chats that we get saying the same thing that you guys are saying. Oh, my grandpa, my great uncle, my, whoever had this, and I Googled it, and I can't believe you guys are still around, and blah, 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 blah. We're still here. Everybody else left, but we're still here.
Not in a good way of leaving, by the way, but that's okay. It all happens anyway, right?
The thing that I really like about Chapman Tools and the position that I'm in is there is such a generational connection. It's like more than a screwdriver in some ways. A lot of people have a lot of great memories working with their, dad, mom, grandpa, uncle, whomever, with our tools. And then they say, oh, it's cool. People say, oh, we were working on his, 38 Buick Special, or we were, working on, grandma's blender, or, whatever. So there's a lot of memories and a lot of nostalgia. And one day I'm gonna like make a documentary or write a book or something and collect all the old memories and stuff into one space. But right now I got a thing or two going on, so
Yeah, I'll bet.
it'd be like a museum exhibit or something. I'm not sure what it'll be, but
Yeah, that's fascinating because it's amazing how certain things will just spark these memories from people. And both John and I have experienced it. It sat on dad's tool bench. Mine sat on my grandfather's tool bench. I think my dad had a set too, but I don't remember actually specifically. But I do remember my grandfather's, and he was really one of these fastidious, engineer. He was definitely an engineer. There's no doubt about it. And his tools were all, don't move his tools. That was a bad thing on Grandpa's bench. You did not move things, but it just brings that memory about it. And I even remember the red case. Like, I really literally remember the red case, and I remember opening it going, there's that cool little ratchet.
Yeah,
Like,
the
that was
ratchet.
the big differentiator for me, was that little
yeah.
ratchet, right? And it brings back very
Yeah.
fond memories of my grandfather. He was 100,000th guy. Like, he'd go down to the 100,000s. Today I can't even comprehend. He taught me all kinds of things that I've forgotten pretty much, like, how to get it, how to get it down that far, et cetera, et cetera. But John, you probably have more experience with that in the
Yeah.
aviation world than I do.
Yeah,
But anyway.
no, I think from everybody out there, I think one of the takeaways that you're hearing here is that these are very specific tools, very high quality, high grade tools, and good tools like this are worth buying. I mean, you're hearing stories right now. You buy them, and you keep handing them down. They're good stuff. It's good stuff.
Just don't lose them.
Yeah.
Just don't lose them. But
Just
you know
don't lose
what?
them.
If you
Well,
do,
we,
Joel will make
we
more.
sell bits individually, so. One thing I want to say about those red cases and nostalgia, and then I'll move on. Everybody loves those red cases. I wish I could find them to bring them back. The original manufacturer went out of business sometime in the late 80s. And I have not been able to find a case. Everybody wants them. Everybody asks them for me all the time. The problem is everyone wants them, but no one remembers that when you have your tools in them and you drop the case because there's no
It
latch, the tools go
the
everywhere.
I
Oh,
remember that thing. Yep.
yeah. So that's why our new cases have a latch. So it's like, they say like look back with rose colored glasses or whatever. It's like, yeah, they look cool, but they're not super practical. um, but
and particularly for industries like ours, where we're mobile, so we're out on the road. And trust me, I like that latch a
Yeah.
lot because I know it
yeah,
Yeah.
stays there, right?
right.
So, yeah.
Um, but in terms of, um, I just lost my train of thought. In terms of like working around the house and stuff, I mean, what you're saying before, our niche and the reason for our ratchet and all that, our niche is working in tight spots. So that's where our tools are used in tight spots, and whether that's on airplane or a giant robot or behind your water heater, whatever. That's really our niche. And the thing is that you can buy a lot of import tools, but if they don't have a good fit in the screw, you're gonna ruin the screw, especially if it's at some oddball, awkward angle that you're, trying to reach, and the bit's half in there. Um, so one way that we're different is that all of our bits are actually milled out of 12-foot bars of USA steel. So a lot of the cheap bits are compressed metal, and they're actually molded. So they take metal powder and just mold it into a shape, which is very fast, very efficient, very inexpensive to produce. The problem is that you can't really get tight tolerances or tight shapes with a mold. So you know, that's why they fit really sloppy in the screws. Where our bits are milled from 12-foot bars, meaning they're actually cut and shaped to close tolerances, so that, you know, a 4 millimeter hex really is 4 millimeter hex, and it's not going to strip out the bolt or whatever. You know, it fits in there properly. And the same thing, you know, with our slotted bits. You know, I think everyone pretty much hates slotted screws or flathead. Unfortunately, they're in everything, but our slotted bits are what's called hollow ground or gunsmithing style. So, you know, a regular slotted screwdriver is like a wedge, which makes it for a great pry bar, but it's not really putting pressure on the screw. Ours have straight sides and a 90-degree angle, so it puts pressure on the sides of the screw, not just the bottom. And you know, if you don't want to wreck it trying to remove it, that's really important.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say that you know, when you step up to and you're working on quality equipment that uses quality screws, nuts, bolts. I mean, they are in tolerance. My point is that if you try to use cheap tools to remove those, it's not going to work, and you're going to screw those things up.
Right.
You know,
and then you have a bigger problem.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. You know that, you know, in a tight space, and you try to get a screw out, and you've just cammed it out, and you've screwed, you know, just messed it up. Now you're in a spot of, I gotta drill it out. I gotta do something. So when I look at the quality of these tools, it's worth buying those tools than wasting all your time, you know, having to remove a bolt, like, you know, drilling it out or whatever. So I mean, you got to think about things like that. You know?
Especially if it's in a hard to reach spot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
placeable. You know, and as what you're saying before, we have our toolkits all over our shop. Every machine that we have has its own Chapman toolkit, and we joke all the time. We're like, especially some of our bigger CNCs and stuff. It's like, how do people use these without our tools? I mean, some of the bolts are so inaccessible, you know, and it'd just be impossible to reach with an Allen wrench, or even if you could reach it, you know, there's no way to put any torque on it because it's at such a funny angle. So they really come in handy for us.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we have tools all over the shop, and one thing that we do, which might be relevant to your audience, is our ratchets. And excuse me, one second, I'll pull a couple out. But our ratchets come in different colors. We have red, blue, orange, and black, and then just plain silver ones. Is if you commonly use 4 different screwdrivers to assemble or disassemble something, everything that we have is color coded. So you can buy these colored ones in a set or individually, and then you put, you know, your 4 most common sizes or whatever, and that way you can just kind of grab and go instead of constantly switching them out. So we do sell a lot to large companies that do assembly or disassembly, because the color coding is a huge thing now in terms of efficiency. You know, where you can just color code everything, which makes it a lot easier if you're doing routine tasks.
Yeah, years ago I used to set up bicycles. It's a long story, but anyway, we used to just take colored tape and put it on the different wrenches so that you could visually just say, I need this, whatever it was, you know, actually 1/4 inch Whitworth. Like that was one of my big ones. I'm like, yeah, that was gray, you know, and I'd grab the gray colored tape on it, and that was exactly why, because we would just wrap it with tape for different colors tapes for different sizes, because when you use them commonly, it's tremendously more effective because it's much faster. So
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
and I was paid on commission, so I really liked to do it, or paid on piecework. So I
Yeah,
actually really liked to
piecework.
be as really
Oh,
quick
piecework. Yeah,
as,
you want to
yeah.
hustle.
Yeah.
I wanted to hustle. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so it's funny you say that because I actually was just thinking that I brought that again takes me back to a memory of my youth setting up bicycles in the bicycle shop and just, having my wrenches all laid out in various different color codings so that I'd just grab and go and
Yeah.
rock. It was no thinking. It was just a grab. So
Right.
it's fantastic. That's
And that's
fantastic.
what lean manufacturing is all about now is color coding everything.
Right.
That's like a
Right.
hot button thing now.
Right. Right. Well, what other kind of feedback do you get from your customers? Is there anything notable that's just kind of different besides some of the memories that come back and then I assume you get some great things, hopefully you get some great comments on how good the tools are. I mean, both John and I are incredibly impressed. I mean, I've got to tell you. So,
Yeah, we actually get about working here is we get a ton of response from customers. Get emails like, thanks so much. It helped me out of a jam. I fixed this thing that no one else in my shop could fix thanks to your tools. We also get weekly an email or a chat or whatever on someone tells us or sends a picture of what they're working on, and it's a use that we had never heard of before. I'm amazed the places our tools end up. Everywhere from like all kinds of military stuff. They don't tend to send pictures because usually they can't, but they usually send an email. But like I just got one recently that this guy restores antique pinball machines, and he says, "I use your tools every day. They're great." Blah blah blah. People that install huge audio visual equipment for theaters and stadiums. Um, I know for a fact our tools are at the bottom of the Black Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean. One set fell off a helicopter when they were filming a scene for an action movie, and landed in the Pacific, and then another set fell off of a boat on the Black Sea. So yeah, we have a couple sets at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know if our tools have been to space, but I know that they're used on a lot of NASA test equipment, because all the people that make that stuff for NASA use our stuff. And in fact,
bet.
there was a documentary a while ago on the Mars rover. I think I have a screenshot of it. And one of our Eagle Eye customers noticed that when there was a shot inside the NASA laboratory, someone had left their toolbox open, and inside was one of our yellow kits. and they screenshotted it and sent me a picture of it. So I have that. So I don't remember what the question was, but our tools are used very widely in a lot of different areas, and we get a lot of feedback, which I absolutely love.
So does those comments that are coming back, if you get enough of those, then would you design specific tools then? Is that part of the creativity process, the creating process? That you're gonna then embark on creating those tools, making those.
Yeah, we do. I do a lot of custom sets, especially for the airline industry,
Mm-hmm.
because of fog, forgotten object. What's
Mm-hmm.
the
yeah, foreign object
Yeah.
debris or
for?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't have any empty spots in their screwdriver sets because then it might look like someone left something in an engine. Um, so I do,
Yeah, that's
custom
why you never put your name on your tools. That's what they taught
yeah. And then, but, it's interesting more and more for the retail side, people will buy a small kit and then like a week or two later say, just buy a master kit because they're like, I should have just bought big one with everything. Because if you're working around your house and then in your garage and your shop and stuff, like you don't know what you're gonna need. You can't anticipate what's gonna break next. So that's why for retail, our bigger kits are the best sellers.
Mm. Yeah, especially if you're working on your car, you know, for all you guys out there that like to do mechanical stuff, you know.
Right.
Man, if you ever taken a dashboard apart, you're gonna,
Ugh.
you know, you're gonna wish you had these tools, and especially with the little
Yeah.
ratchet, getting radios
Yeah.
out and everything else.
Somewhere I have a video of a guy taking apart a dash, and I think it was a Forerunner, and it was kind of like a step-by-step video. And then it was so funny. He pulls them and sent it to me. He pulls out the ratchet and he says, "Okay, now for this step, you need one of these. Nothing else will work." So we definitely got some sales from that video.
Yeah, so in the handyman side, I always equate everything to how much time will it save you to make the value comparison, right? And
Yeah.
in general, we advise our people, gosh, if you're going to save 2 hours, or say you can't even get the job done, but this is literally the cost if what I saw, and we don't need to quote pricing right now because it'll be on the website,
Yeah.
but 2 hours of handyman time will pay for this set easily, and if you're priced appropriately and things like that. But for
Right.
me, gosh, just like this job the other day, I would have screwed around with it, trying to get that stupid Allen wrench out for probably 40 minutes without the right tools, where it was 5 minutes before. That
Yeah,
doesn't
that's a
take me
game
long
changer.
to
Yeah.
yeah, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like it was a struggle. I'll be honest. It was a pain. And of course, it's only 2 screws out of the whole set, right? Which is always the way it is. So
Right.
the point being is, it doesn't take much to justify the cost of your kits, the master kit in particular, which I think is the biggest kit. Maybe not, but it doesn't matter. It's the one that most people would be interested in.
Yeah.
And it really, honestly, it is truly a game changer. And don't forget the aggravation
Yeah.
factor, folks, because there's nothing worse,
No.
nothing worse, right, than
Yeah.
trying to use the wrong tool or not having it be aligned properly and all of that sort of thing. You just stop beating your head against the walls, come off the hip and spend a little bit of money, and it's not very much. And remember, at the same time, I sound like a sales guy because I am, but it doesn't matter. Still, I'm so strong on this because it saved me enough time to justify the cost, and it certainly saved my aggravation level. Oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
you can't put a value on that one
Right.
at all, in my
Yeah, just a
Right.
couple weeks ago, the pump in that drains my washing machine went, and the washing machine's like 2 years old, but don't even get me started. So I go online, go on YouTube, because I'm a YouTube handyman. Like,
Yep.
I'm not gonna figure it out for myself, but if it's on YouTube, I can figure it out. So somebody has the same washing machine with the same pump, and they showed you how to take it out and swap it for a new one, whatever. And I was like, okay, this is easy. Whatever, I do it. I get the pump, start taking it apart, and I realize it's easy on YouTube because they have the washing machine upside down, so everything's accessible. But of course, my washing machine isn't upside down, so I'm like wedged I have a little laundry closet thing. I'm like wedged in the back there with my trusty Chapman set, undoing the bolts. It would have taken me 9 times as long with an Allen wrench, because you'd have to remove it, turn it, and then put it back in. Where with the ratchet, I could just rip the bolts out real fast. So I did that. There's like, I don't know, six screws on it or something. 5 of them were hex. 1 was star.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Because they don't want you to take it apart. They're hoping you don't have a
Yep.
Torx screwdriver. They don't, everybody has Allen wrenches or whatever, but nobody has. So if I didn't have my Chapman kit that already has the Torx in it, I would have to be running out to the hardware store
Oh, yeah.
to get the one size, to get the last screw out. So that saved me a lot of time.
And aggravation. We're back to aggravation.
Yeah.
And
Right,
aggravation, yeah.
Aggravation. Oh, yeah.
And I was
That's-
already pretty aggravated because, as I said, so that I was
Yeah, we
already
hear-
starting at a high level of aggravation.
Right.
We're laughing with you, buddy.
Yeah.
Trust me, we're
Yeah.
right there. Been there, done that about a million
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you have anything that helps our listeners save time, money, and aggravation?
That's
but you
it.
just explained it. Yeah, we don't need to go
That's
in.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've ever been in the manufacturing facility when they're putting those things together, but it's sometimes it can be quite chaotic with all the fasteners and everything. So it doesn't surprise me that either they did that by design or somebody just grabbed it because they ran out of them when they're putting it when they put it
I see
together.
it all the time. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like what you run out of screws? Yes, because you went to one different one.
Right. You just never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and that's the thing with that's why our biggest kits are the best selling, because manufacturers will do that, where most of the fasteners are the same and then one or two is different. And that's not the first time I've seen that. And then two, I mean, a lot of things as I'm learning is that seem to be, when it's assembled, like stuff you use around the house, they assemble it either upside down or they assemble it in pieces. So when you go to disassemble it, it's so difficult and it's so awkward because they're not really designed to be disassembled. They don't really want you to disassemble it. They're not going to make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think with these type of screws, your products, everybody, when you have that kind of stuff, you can be confident that you get these screws out, okay, without damaging them because some of these screws you can't find just anywhere. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. And if you mess one up, you're going to be running all over the place.
Problem. Yeah, it's a whole different problem.
Yeah,
like it's almost impossible. At times.
Yeah. So you can be pretty confident that you get the job done with these tools. I mean, to me, it's worth it. No questions asked.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people have emailed and said that, and you can do it in a pinch. Is sometimes you can find a hex bit that actually fits into a star screw. Sometimes, depending on the size, it works if you're in a pinch. But obviously, you ruin the screw. Right. So, once you get it out, it ain't going.
It doesn't go back.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, and everything is Torx or Star now. I mean, I just did a air filter on one of the cars, and it was all Star bits, Star screws. And that's the thing. And not only now we have a variety of fasteners, but they're all in such tight spaces. And that's why our ratchet's so good, is because it has, you can ratchet in such a small spot, which really makes it indispensable. And, it's on the 90-degree angle. I mean, if you're trying to go around a corner or, a lot of recessed screws now, they're difficult to reach. I have a couple of, they almost look like S's, and there's Phillips on either end. It's like an Allen wrench kind of, but it's like an S shape. But the problem is that with all the recessed screws, because of the curve, it's not deep enough to reach it. And I was putting together something, and they shipped me one with it, and I'm like, this tool doesn't even work with what I'm assembling. So whip out the Chapman kit again.
So knowing you, you just called up the company and said, "Hey, I can fix this problem for you. Here, I can sell you kits."
Yeah, your tools are terrible.
That's right. Let's fix that problem. Fix that.
Or you could do the IKEA. I mean, everybody's got the IKEA furniture, myself included. But depending on how many they only use. The thing I like about IKEA is I think they only use like 5mm hex. They only use one size fastener for everything. But some of these things have 1 billion fasteners on them. So by the time you assemble all of it with a little tiny Allen wrench they give you, your hand is like on fire because you're there like, 20 minutes of fastener.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything you need to bring in? Is there anything we haven't talked about?
I think that covers our tools pretty well. As I said, we're on chapmanmfg.com. We're on Amazon. If you want to contact us, we have a 10-step robocall. No, I'm kidding. We we actually pick up the phone. We don't have an automated phone system. We don't have an automated email system. So if you have a question or you want a quick response, just email us, sales@chapmanmfg.com. There's 2 ladies that work in the office, Nicole and Jill. They're both excellent. They both actually know our tools very well and have been there for years. Something that I'm sure everyone is aggravated about, myself included, is when you contact a company and it's clear that the rep has no idea what they're talking about. So they know our tools, they use our tools. Um, so yeah, we're easy to get a hold of, and I think that's about the end of my pitch.
Awesome. Johnny, you have anything else to
No,
add?
I don't. It was very enjoyable, Joel, that we got to a chance to get together. I know it was a little long time coming on this one, but
Yeah,
but we really do appreciate you being on the show.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me on. It's been fun chatting with you guys.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank Joel for being on the show. Johnny, what are the key takeaways here?
Well, I first of all I want to thank Joel myself as well for being on our show. Folks, when we did a review of these tools, the screwdrivers before, we talked about the quality of it, and I will tell you since then I've used them a lot, and just the time that it has saved me, the aggravation it saved me using these tools, just knowing, okay, for me being an experienced mechanic, just knowing that I can use some of these tools without ruining the screws. Because the little screws that they use today, you can't find them you can't find them anywhere, if you ruin them. So if you're taking stuff apart, you need quality tools. I mean, let's just put that on the table, and it's going to save you a bunch of time to get them out right and be able to reuse them.
Oh, absolutely. And so, I want to talk just a bit about the quality of these tools. You know how when you grab a tool, you can just tell.
Yeah.
The thing for me on these, along with the metal itself, you can just tell that it's really fine quality, but that little ratchet, it is so fine. It's such a fine precision piece of equipment that, and honestly, I think the last time I looked at their website, folks, this is a steal. Like, don't waste your time not buying this. I'm not trying to pitch it heavily, but I am trying to pitch it heavily because it's that good. It's just, I don't come off that often, making recommendations like this, but I've just never seen anything like these kits, and especially when you get the value for the $1 too on it. So,
well, when he described that they were actually milled and not compressed, that was an interesting take on how other tools are made.
Right.
Okay. So
right.
Guys, that's a big difference right there of the quality of the tool and how they fit in the screws. So you can't take this stuff for granted. I mean, it's if you're doing a bunch of work like that, and I'll tell you the other side of it is for some of you guys out there that might be thinking that you want to, kind of branch off into maybe differentiate yourself a little bit and doing something a little different, for your customers, such as maybe working on their lawnmower,
or anything really,
something like that, just for an example. And you guys know stuff about small engines and things like that. And you're like, well, hey, I can help you fix your lawnmower too. I can do, you need quality tools to be able to take stuff apart and put it back together. So, consider these kind of screwdrivers.
And we do. And I say this, that appearance matters. And when you pull this kit out, people are going to go
professional.
Yeah, you really look professional.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And I do. It's funny. He was talking about aviation and FOD and things, and about not leaving heads and things in there. One of the things that I do love about the case, and this is just kind of an aside, but each place there's a place for everything. So you do know if you've misplaced something, and I think that's a great advantage. One of the other real advantages that I particularly was very fond for me was made in the USA, but also by a small business. It's customer focused. They'll answer the phone and you can actually talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Where's all that gone, right?
Exactly. And so it just, I don't know. Those were my takeaways. And I know you had some of the same ones. So
yeah, precisely.
Yep. So, all right. So we promised you that we will have a special offer. We're actually going to place it in the description. So if you look in the description of the show, we will give you that content code and you can apply that on their website. And they will give you, I don't remember what he said the discount's going to be, but we'll put that in the description as well. John, this is something I saw the last time I got abducted. I got on the ship
Yeah,
and there was this Chapman Master Tool set sitting right there. And I looked at the guy and I said, what are you going to do?
Can't take him apart without it.
That's right. Can't take me apart without it. That's what he said. All right, folks, with that, questions, comments, and concerns, send us an email, questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. Also, if you have any ideas or anything you want, as far as content ideas or things like that, let us know. Again, questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. We do have a website you can sign up for our newsletter. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. Again, we're there. And Facebook as well, @handymanpros. Got a lot of people signing up and asking some really good questions there. So with that, Johnny, take us home.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And we'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.